Jack Miller sighed as he watched his design simulation crash again. Red error messages flashed across his screen. Around him, the other students in the Interstellar Design Academy worked smoothly on their projects. Their six-fingered hands moved with perfect precision. Their multiple eyes blinked in complex patterns. None of them looked his way, but Jack could feel their amusement. He was the only human in the most elite ship design school in the galaxy. For 3 years, he had tried to prove that humans belonged here. For 3 years, he had faced nothing but doubt and mockery. Having trouble with basic thrust calculations again, Miller. The voice belonged to Zrek, a tall Vraxian with blue-gray skin. Vraxians were known across the galaxy for their mathematical minds. Perhaps your species should stick to those charming combustion engines. Jack ignored the comment and kept working. He knew his design was sound. The simulation was failing because he was trying something new, something the Academy's computers weren't programmed to understand. "Don't waste your energy on him," another voice said. This came from Elnar, a Telson student whose transparent skin revealed the complex organs that gave her species their famous engineering abilities. Humans barely understand gravity manipulation. They're still excited about breaking light speed. Jack kept his eyes on his work. He had graduated at the top of his class on Earth. He had earned his place here. But the aliens around him had thousands of years of space travel in their history. Humans were newcomers, still finding their place among the stars. The classroom door slid open. Grand Designer Zoltek entered, his long robes sweeping the floor. The 7-foot-tall Meridian was the most respected ship designer in 3 systems. His elegant vessels were considered works of art as much as feats of engineering. He was also the harshest critic of human design philosophy. "Progress reports," Zoltek announced. His 4 arms held different tablets, reviewing work as he moved through the room. He paused at each student's station, offering praise or criticism. When he reached Jack, he barely looked at the screen. "Still using that Earth-based approach, Miller. How disappointing." Zoltek's voice was soft, but carried throughout the room. "Your species has been given access to advanced concepts, yet you cling to outdated principles." "With respect, sir," Jack said, keeping his voice steady, "I'm combining traditions. Earth shipbuilding has unique strengths that could enhance." "Unique?" Zoltek laughed, a musical sound that made Jack's face burn. "What you call unique, the rest of the galaxy calls primitive. There is a reason no human has ever designed a ship used by the Galactic Fleet." Snickers spread through the classroom. Jack felt the familiar anger rise in his chest, but he pushed it down. Getting emotional would only confirm their beliefs about humans. "Class dismissed," Zoltek said. "Remember, initial proposals for the innovation competition are due next week. This is your opportunity to demonstrate true vision." The students gathered their materials and left. Jack stayed at his station, working through the errors in his simulation. He didn't notice when someone approached him. "You work harder than anyone." Jack looked up to see Lena Spencer, one of the few humans on the station. She wasn't a student but worked as a diplomatic aide. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical style, and her expression was friendly. "Not hard enough, according to them," Jack said. Lena shrugged. "They've been designing ships for 15 generations. Give yourself a break." "I don't need a break. I need to make this work." Jack gestured at his screen. "These designs combine Earth's naval architecture with meridian flow principles. It's never been done before." "That's why they mock it," Lena said. "They don't understand it." She looked around the empty classroom. "Are you entering the competition?" Jack nodded. "I have to." "They'll tear you apart," she said gently. "Maybe." Jack turned back to his work. "Or maybe they'll finally see what I see." Lena watched him for a moment. "Well, when you're done changing the galaxy, come get dinner. The cafeteria has something almost like pizza today." After she left, Jack returned to his designs. While other students created ships that looked like all other ships in the fleet, he sketched something different, something that remembered Earth's oceans and skies. something that might not win, but would definitely be remembered. The main hall of the Interstellar Design Academy gleamed under bright lights. Hundreds of students from 30 different species gathered for the innovation competition announcements. Jack stood at the back of the crowd, his design tablet clutched tightly in his hands. "Are you ready?" Lena asked, standing beside him. She wore the formal blue uniform of the diplomatic corps, her badge showing she was there in an official capacity. "As ready as I'll ever be," Jack said. His stomach felt tight. He had worked on his design for months, testing and refining it whenever he could access the simulation labs. At the front of the hall, a large holographic display flickered to life. Grand Designer Zoltek stood on the central platform, his 4 arms raised for silence. "Welcome to the 73rd Annual Innovation Competition," Zoltek said. His voice carried through the hall without need for amplification. "As you know, the winner will receive full funding to build their prototype and a guaranteed position with the Galactic Fleet Design Division." Excited whispers spread through the crowd. A position with the fleet was the dream of every student. It meant respect, resources, and the chance to shape the future of interstellar travel. "Each designer will present their concept to our panel of judges," Zoltek continued. "You will have 5 minutes to explain your innovation. The top 3 designs will move to the final round." Jack looked down at his tablet. His design didn't look like any ship in the Galactic Fleet. It followed different principles, combined different ideas. The aliens would probably laugh at it, but he believed in it. "Let the presentations begin," Zoltek announced. One by one, students approached the platform. Their designs appeared on the holographic display, rotating slowly for all to see. The judges asked questions, made notes, and occasionally nodded with approval. Zrek, the Vraxian student, presented a ship with mathematical perfection in every curve. The judges praised its efficient use of space and energy. Elnar showed a design that could transform its shape for different environments. The crowd murmured with appreciation. After 20 presentations, Jack's name was called. He walked slowly to the platform, aware of the curious glances. Humans rarely entered the competition and never placed well. "Jack Miller, Earth," the announcer said. "You may begin your presentation." Jack connected his tablet to the display system. His design appeared above the platform. It looked different from all the others. Instead of the smooth, egg-shaped vessels favored by most designers, Jack's ship had an unusual form. Its hull curved like a whale from Earth's oceans, with strange fins and channels that seemed to serve no purpose. "This is the Defiance," Jack said. He tried to keep his voice steady. "It represents a new approach to ship design, combining Earth naval architecture with advanced propulsion concepts." Someone in the audience laughed. Others joined in. Jack continued his explanation, pointing out the innovative features of his design. The laughter grew louder. "The hull structure creates microcurrents in space, similar to how Earth ships move through water," Jack said over the noise. "This reduces energy consumption by 14% and increases maneuverability in dense fields." One of the judges, a Telson with glowing organs visible through his skin, raised a hand. "Mr. Miller, your design ignores basic principles of spatial dynamics. These protrusions would create drag, not reduce it." "Not if the field generators are calibrated to," Jack began. "Enough," Zoltek interrupted. "It seems our Earth collie has confused shipbuilding with sculpture. While visually interesting, this design has no practical application." The audience erupted in open laughter now. Jack felt his face grow hot. He looked at Lena, who gave him a sad, sympathetic smile. As Jack left the platform, he noticed one figure not laughing. An old Meridian with pale green skin watched him with all 6 eyes blinking in an unusual pattern. Professor Cowrith was known as an eccentric, a brilliant designer who had retired from active work decades ago. After the presentations ended, Jack prepared to leave quickly. He wanted to avoid the mocking comments that would surely follow. Before he could reach the exit, he felt a light touch on his shoulder. Young human, said Professor Cowrith, his voice like dry leaves rustling. I would like to discuss your design further, perhaps in my laboratory tomorrow. Jack stared in surprise. You want to talk about my ship? Indeed, Cowrith said. I find it most intriguing. Meet me at the old testing facility. Section 12, Bay 7. Without waiting for an answer, the old alien moved away, leaving Jack wondering if he had found the one person in the academy who didn't think his ideas were worthless. Jack found Section 12 at the far edge of the academy grounds. The testing facility looked abandoned. Dust covered the entry panel, and the lights flickered as he walked down the long corridor to Bay 7. He wondered if Professor Cowrith was playing some kind of joke on him. The bay door slid open with a grinding noise. Inside, Jack saw a large open space with old equipment pushed against the walls. In the center stood Professor Cowrith, all 6 of his eyes focused on a holographic display. You came, the old Meridian said without looking up. Most humans would have given up after yesterday's humiliation. Unused to it, Jack said. He stepped closer to see what Cowrith was studying. To his surprise, it was his own design for the Defiance. Tell me, Cowrith said, what inspired this unusual form? Jack hesitated. No one had ever asked that question before. Earth's oceans, he finally said. Specifically, the creatures in them. Whales, dolphins, sharks. They move through water with an efficiency we still haven't matched with our technology. Cowrith's eyes blinked in sequence. And you believe these principles apply to space travel? Not directly, Jack admitted. But with modifications, space isn't empty like most people think. It has currents, fields, particles. If a ship is designed to work with these elements instead of fighting against them. Yes, Cowrith interrupted. I see it now. Your design doesn't ignore spatial dynamics. It approaches them from a different perspective. The old alien walked around the hologram, studying it from all angles. The Academy has become too rigid in its thinking. Too perfect, too efficient, too predictable. Jack couldn't believe what he was hearing. After years of mockery, someone was actually understanding his ideas. This facility is old but functional, Cowrith said. I still have access codes from when I taught advanced design. You could build a prototype here. A prototype? Jack's heart raced. But I didn't win the competition. I don't have funding or materials. Cowrith waved a thin hand dismissively. I have resources. I have connections. What I lack is time. My species doesn't live forever, despite what some younger races believe. He fixed all 6 eyes on Jack. I want to see this ship built before I join my ancestors. Will you do it? Jack stared at the alien. Why? Why help me? Because, Cowrith said softly, in 500 years of teaching, I've learned that innovation rarely comes from perfection. It comes from adaptation, from struggle. His voice grew stronger. Your species fought gravity for centuries before reaching space. You faced natural disasters, climate shifts, limited resources. These challenges shaped your thinking in ways the older races have forgotten. Jack thought about Earth, about the history of human exploration and invention. Maybe Cowrith was right. Maybe being the newcomers gave humans a different way of seeing things. I'll do it, Jack said. But we'll need help. The systems are too complex for one person to build. Leave that to me, Cowrith said. Work on your designs. Refine them. I'll handle the rest. For the next several weeks, Jack barely attended classes. He spent every free moment in Base 7, working on detailed plans for the Defiance. Cowrith provided access to advanced design tools and materials that weren't available to students. Small robots appeared in the bay, ready to help with construction. Lena visited often, bringing food when Jack forgot to eat. She watched with growing amazement as the ship began to take shape. You're really building it, she said one evening, looking at the half-finished hull. They're all talking about you at the diplomatic offices. The human who thinks he can redesign space travel. I'm not redesigning it, Jack said, not looking up from his work. I'm just offering a different path. The competition finals are next month, Lena reminded him. Are you going to enter this? Jack thought about the mockery, the dismissal, the constant reminders that humans were too new to the stars to contribute anything valuable. Then he looked at his ship, at the unusual curves and features that made it unique. No, he said, when the Defiance flies, it won't be for a competition. It will be because it works. He ran a hand along the smooth hull, and they won't be able to ignore that. Alarms blared throughout the academy. Students rushed through corridors, their faces showing fear and confusion. Jack looked up from his work in Bay 7, where he had spent the last 3 months building the Defiance. What's happening? He asked Lena as she ran into the bay, her diplomatic uniform wrinkled as if she had been working through the night. Void-born ships, she said, trying to catch her breath. They destroyed the outpost at Centauri Edge yesterday. 2 more stations went dark this morning. The Alliance thinks they're heading this way. Jack had heard stories about the Voidborn. They were a mysterious species from the far reaches of the galaxy. They rarely communicated with other races and were known for their advanced technology and aggressive expansion. The Academy is calling an emergency meeting, Lena continued. All ship designers are required to attend. They're looking for ideas to counter the Voidborn vessels. Jack put down his tools and looked at his ship. The Defiance was nearly complete. Its unusual hull gleamed under the bay lights, the curved surfaces unlike any other vessel in the Alliance fleet. Only the core systems needed final adjustments. You should go, Lena said. This is your chance to share your ideas. Jack nodded and followed her out of the bay. The meeting hall was packed with students, teachers, and Alliance officials. On the main screen, images showed strange ships moving through space in ways that seemed impossible. They changed direction without slowing, slipped past defensive lines without effort, and absorbed weapons fire without damage. Grand Designer Zoltek stood at the center of the room, his usually calm face showing concern. The Voidborn fleet has already defeated our border patrols. Their ships move in ways our tracking systems cannot predict. We need new defensive strategies immediately. Jack raised his hand. After a moment of hesitation, Zoltek acknowledged him. Perhaps we need to rethink our approach, Jack suggested. Their ships don't follow the same rules as ours. They seem to flow through space rather than push against it. Like water currents, someone in the crowd muttered. Exactly, Jack said. If we adjust our shield configurations to be more fluid, more adaptive. This is not the time for Earth's primitive analogies, Zoltek interrupted. We need serious solutions based on proven technology. Several alien designers nodded in agreement. Jack felt the familiar sting of dismissal, but kept his face neutral. An Alliance admiral stepped forward. The Voidborn will reach this system in less than a week. Our fleet is mobilizing, but we need every advantage we can get. Any designer with relevant ideas should submit them immediately for review. After the meeting, Jack returned to Bay 7. Professor Cowrith was waiting, his eyes blinking rapidly. You heard? The old alien asked. Jack nodded. They still won't listen. But the way those Voidborn ships move, Cowrith, they're using the same principles I've built into the Defiance. Not fighting against space, but working with it. I noticed that as well, Cowrith said. The Defiance might be more important than we realized. How soon can it be ready? Jack looked at his creation. 3 days for basic flight systems, maybe 5 for full combat readiness. You may not have 5 days, Lena said from the doorway. She held her communication tablet, showing a classified message. New reports indicate the Voidborn have increased speed. They could arrive in this system within 72 hours. Jack looked between Lena and Cowrith, then at his ship. Then we work faster. Lena, can you get me access to the Alliance defense plans? I need to know what we're facing. That's classified information, she said hesitantly. I'm not asking you to break rules, Jack said. But lives are at stake. If the Defiance can help, we need to be prepared. Lena bit her lip, then nodded. I'll see what I can do, but promise me you'll be careful. The Academy security forces are on high alert. If they find out what you're building here, they'll shut us down. Jack finished. Then we'll just have to make sure the Defiance is ready to fly before they discover it. As alarm sirens continued to sound across the Academy, Jack turned back to his work. The ship that had started as a school project now might be the only hope against an enemy that moved like water through the stars. Jack worked without sleep for 2 days. His hands were raw from connecting wires and adjusting systems. The Defiance was almost ready. The unusual hull now contained powerful engines, shield generators, and a navigation system unlike anything in the Alliance fleet. You need to rest, Lena said, bringing him a container of hot food. You can't fight the Voidborn if you collapse from exhaustion. Jack took the food but didn't stop working. The latest reports. Lena's face grew serious. Not good. The Voidborn destroyed the monitoring station at Proxima Junction. 47 ships are heading this way. The Academy has ordered evacuation of all non-essential personnel. What about the fleet? Jack asked between bites. 32 Alliance vessels are in position. More are coming, but they won't arrive in time. Lena looked at the Defiance. Do you really think this can make a difference? Before Jack could answer, the bay door slid open. Professor Cowrith entered, followed by a tall figure in an Alliance military uniform. Jack recognized Admiral Ben Carter, one of the few humans to reach high rank in the Alliance forces. So this is your secret project, the Admiral said, walking slowly around the Defiance. His weathered face gave nothing away. Professor Cowrith says you've built something that might help us against the Voidborn. Jack stood straighter. Yes, sir. The Defiance uses principles based on fluid dynamics rather than conventional space travel. It's designed to move with space currents instead of against them. Just like the Voidborn ships, Admiral Carter nodded. Cowrith showed me the battle footage. Their movements reminded him of your design concepts. The difference, Cowrith added, is that Jack understands why his ship moves that way. He can predict and control it. The Alliance ships are trying to fight an enemy they don't understand. Admiral Carter studied the Defiance carefully. It's small. Crew capacity. 2, Jack said. Pilot and systems operator. Weapons. Limited. The design focuses on maneuverability and shields, but it has 2 phase cannons and a disruptor array. The Admiral was quiet for a long moment. The Academy Committee rejected your request to join the Defense Fleet. They said untested designs would be a liability. Jack's heart sank, but he kept his face neutral. With respect, sir, the Defiance isn't untested. The simulations show. Simulations aren't reality, son. Admiral Carter interrupted. Then his stern expression softened slightly. But sometimes we need to take risks. Professor Cowrith has served the Alliance for 300 years. If he believed in your ship, that counts for something. Hope flickered in Jack's chest. Does that mean? It means I'm giving you unofficial clearance to join the defensive line, the Admiral said. You'll be registered as a support vessel. Stay back, observe and report. Do not engage unless directly ordered. He fixed Jack with a hard stare. Is that clear? Yes, sir, Jack said quickly. Thank you, sir. After the Admiral left, Lena grabbed Jack's arm. Are you crazy? The Defiance isn't ready for battle. It's ready enough, Jack said. And I won't be fighting, just observing. The Voidborn won't care if you're observing or fighting, Lena pointed out. If you're in their path, they'll destroy you. Professor Cowrith moved closer. The ship will be ready. I have brought something that will help. He opened a small container and removed a glowing blue crystal. This is a Meridian Core crystal. Very rare, very powerful. It will stabilize your energy systems beyond what Alliance technology can achieve. Jack stared at the crystal. Such technology was never shared with other species, especially not humans. I can't accept that. It's too valuable. Knowledge is meant to be shared, Cowrith said firmly. My people have forgotten that. Install it in your core system. It will give you the edge you need. As Cowrith helped Jack install the crystal, alert signals sounded throughout the academy. Lena checked her communication tablet. They're here, she whispered. Voidborn ships just entered the outer system. The Alliance fleet is moving to intercept. Jack looked at the Defiance, now humming with energy from the Meridian crystal. Then it's time to see if my crazy human design actually works. Lena bit her lip, then straightened her shoulders. I'm coming with you. What? No, it's too dangerous, Jack protested. You need a systems operator, she said firmly. I've been watching you build this ship for months. I know how it works. When Jack hesitated, she added, besides, someone needs to document the moment when you prove all those aliens wrong. Space above the Academy planet glowed with the lights of dozens of ships. The Alliance fleet formed a protective barrier, their vessels arranged in traditional defensive patterns. Jack guided the Defiance out of the Academy's launch bay, the small ship moving smoothly despite its rushed completion. All systems are stable, Lena reported from the secondary control station. The Meridian crystal is performing better than expected. Power levels at 120%. Jack nodded, focused on the flight controls. The Defiance responded to his touch like a living thing. Its movements were fluid, almost graceful, unlike the rigid precision of Alliance vessels. Alliance Command, this is Defiance requesting position in the observation zone. Jack transmitted. A voice crackled over the communication system. Defiance, this is Command. Proceed to coordinate Sector 7, Grid 3. Maintain distance from the main fleet. Admiral Carter has flagged your vessel as advisory only. As Jack guided the ship to the designated position, the main viewer showed the Alliance fleet. 30 warships of various sizes formed a wall of metal and energy, their weapons primed and shields at maximum. Look at them, Lena said softly. They're still using the standard formation. Didn't they learn anything from the previous encounters? Before Jack could respond, a new alert sounded. The long-range sensors detected movement at the edge of the system. Voidborn ships approaching. An Alliance-wide transmission announced. All vessels to battle positions. Jack watched as dark shapes appeared against the stars. The Voidborn ships didn't look like normal vessels. They seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, their hulls flowing like liquid shadow. There were dozens of them, moving in patterns that seemed random but somehow coordinated. They're beautiful, Lena whispered. Terrifying, but beautiful. The Alliance fleet opened fire. Beams of energy and torpedoes streaked across space toward the approaching Voidborn. Jack held his breath, watching the battle unfold on his screens. The Voidborn ships moved like water, flowing around the Alliance attacks with impossible grace. They didn't dodge in the traditional sense. They simply weren't where the weapons fired. Their movements reminded Jack of schools of fish changing direction in perfect unison. They're communicating somehow, Jack said, studying the patterns. Not with signals we can detect, but they're coordinated perfectly. The Voidborn returned fire. Dark energy pulses shot toward the Alliance fleet. 3 Alliance ships exploded instantly, their shields useless against the unknown weapons. Alliance vessels, break formation. Admiral Carter's voice commanded over the communication channels. Standard tactics are ineffective. Engage at will. The ordered lines of the Alliance fleet dissolved as ships tried to maneuver individually. But they were designed for formation fighting, their bulk making them slow to respond. The Voidborn surrounded them, picking them off one by one. We have to help, Lena said, her face pale as another Alliance ship exploded. Jack gripped the controls tighter. We were ordered to observe only. Jack, people are dying. If the Defiance can move like they do, maybe we can distract them, or at least learn something useful. Jack watched a Voidborn ship flow past Alliance weapons fire, moving in ways that defied normal physics. It reminded him of how he had designed the Defiance. Lena, are you recording their movement patterns? He asked suddenly. Yes, all sensors are active. Run it through the Defiance's navigation system. See if our predictive algorithms can map their patterns. Lena's fingers flew over her controls. Processing now. Jack, this is incredible. Our system is recognizing their movements. It's similar to the fluid dynamics models you based the Defiance on. Jack made his decision. Alliance command. This is Defiance. Request permission to approach the combat zone. We believe we can predict void-born movement patterns. There was a pause before Admiral Carter's voice responded. Defiance. Permission granted. But stay clear of direct engagement. Your ship is not combat-rated. Understood, sir, Jack replied. He looked at Lena, who nodded her readiness. Hang on. We're about to find out if my crazy human ideas actually work. Jack pushed the controls forward. The Defiance leaped ahead, its unusual hull gleaming as it sped toward the chaos of battle, toward the flowing darkness of the void-born fleet. The Defiance raced toward the battle, its engines humming with power from the Meridian crystal. On the main screen, Jack watched as 3 more Alliance ships exploded under void-born attacks. We're being hailed, Lena said. It's from the Academy. Jack nodded, and the screen changed to show Grand Designer Zoltek's face. The Meridian's usually perfect appearance was disheveled, his 4 arms moving in agitation. Miller, what are you doing? Zoltek demanded. That vessel is not authorized for combat. Return to the Academy immediately. With respect, sir, Jack replied calmly. Admiral Carter has granted us permission to assist. The Defiance can track void-born movement patterns. Impossible, Zoltek scoffed. Our most advanced systems cannot predict their movements. Your experiment will only add to the casualties. Jack ended the transmission without responding. Lena, are you still tracking them? Yes, she confirmed. The computer is mapping their patterns. They move like water currents, changing direction based on invisible fields in space. She looked up, her eyes wide. Jack, they're using the same principles you built into the Defiance. Jack studied the tactical display. Let's test your theory. Plot an intercept course with that group of void-born ships near Sector 9. As Lena entered the coordinates, Jack guided the Defiance toward the enemy vessels. Instead of moving in straight lines like Alliance ships, he followed a curving path that mimicked the flow of space itself. From the Academy's control center, designers and students watched in amazement as the small human vessel moved with unexpected grace. The Defiance flowed through space almost like a void-born ship, its unusual hull design allowing it to ride the invisible currents. What is happening? Zoltek demanded, staring at the display. How is that ship moving like that? Professor Calrith stepped forward, his ancient eyes blinking with satisfaction. Human adaptation at work, my friend. Jack Miller understood something we forgot long ago. That space is not empty. It flows, it bends, it has currents and eddies. His ship doesn't fight against these forces. It uses them. On the Defiance, Jack focused intensely on the controls. We're approaching void-born ships, 3 of them at 2,000 kilometers in closing. They've noticed us, Lena reported. They're changing course to intercept. Jack didn't alter his path. The Defiance continued its flowing movement, approaching the void-born ships at high speed. At the last moment, Jack made a minor adjustment. The ship responded instantly, sliding past the void-born vessels with barely meters to spare. The enemy ships fired, but their dark energy weapons missed the Defiance entirely. They seemed confused by the human vessel's movement patterns. It's working, Lena exclaimed. They can't predict our course any better than we can predict theirs. Jack opened a channel to the Alliance fleet. Alliance command, this is Defiance. The Voidborn navigate using space current patterns. Their ships are designed to flow with these currents, not against them. That's why traditional defensive formations are ineffective. Admiral Carter's voice came through clearly. Can you transmit your movement data to our ships? Negative, sir, Jack replied. The Defiance is custom-built for this type of navigation. Alliance vessels aren't designed to move this way. Then what do you suggest, son? Jack thought quickly. Sir, the Voidborn move is a coordinated group, like a school of fish. They're maintaining perfect formation by following these space currents. If we disrupt the currents themselves, how would we do that? The Admiral asked. Gravitational waves, Jack said. If several Alliance ships generate artificial gravity pulses in sequence, it would create ripples in the space-time fabric, like throwing rocks in a pond. There was a pause before the Admiral responded. Worth a try. Better than watching our fleet get picked apart. His voice shifted to command tone. All vessels with gravity generators, form up on my coordinates. Prepare for coordinated gravity pulse on my mark. As the Alliance ships regrouped, the Defiance continued its dance among the Voidborn vessels. Jack guided the ship in flowing patterns that confused the enemy, drawing their attention and fire away from the regrouping Alliance fleet. They're focusing on us now, Lena said nervously. All 6 of the nearest Voidborn ships are in pursuit. Jack smiled grimly. Good. That's exactly what we want. Keep them busy while the Alliance prepares the surprise. Jack guided the Defiance through a series of tight turns, staying just ahead of the pursuing Voidborn ships. The small vessel moved like a dancer through space, flowing around energy blasts that would have destroyed it instantly. Alliance gravity generators at full charge, Admiral Carter's voice announced over the communication system. Defiance, clear the target zone in 30 seconds. Understood, Jack replied. Lena, plot an exit vector through Sector 12. Lena worked quickly at her station. Course plotted. The Voidborn are still following us. Perfect, Jack said with a grim smile. Let's lead them right into the trap. The Defiance accelerated, drawing the enemy ships toward the waiting Alliance vessels. At Jack's command, the ship suddenly changed direction, shooting upward relative to the battle plane. Gravity pulse in 5 seconds, the Admiral announced. 4, 3, 2, 1. Now. 12 Alliance ships activated their gravity generators simultaneously. The massive energy release created waves in the fabric of space itself. The Voidborn ships, so perfectly attuned to space currents, suddenly found those currents violently disrupted. The enemy vessels tumbled, their fluid movements becoming chaotic. Their perfect formation broke apart as the artificial gravity waves interfered with their navigation systems. It's working, Lena shouted. They can't maintain formation. From the Academy's observation deck, the gathered designers and students watched in amazement. The Voidborn ships that had seemed invincible moments ago were now vulnerable, struggling to regain control. Now, Admiral Carter commanded. All ships target the disoriented vessels. The Alliance fleet opened fire. This time their weapons found their marks. 3 Voidborn ships exploded instantly. Others took damage, their dark hulls showing bright cracks where energy weapons struck. Jack brought the Defiance around for another pass. The disruption is temporary. We need to press the advantage while we can. The Alliance ships moved with renewed purpose, targeting the confused enemy vessels. For the first time, they were winning. In the Academy Control Center, Grand Designer Zoltek stared at the tactical display in disbelief. How? How did he know? Because Jack Miller thinks differently, Professor Cowrith said. While we perfected the known, he explored the unknown. While we sought mathematical precision, he found inspiration in the natural world of his home planet. On the main viewer, they could see the Defiance moving through the battle with astonishing grace. The small ship darted between larger vessels, drawing enemy fire and then slipping away, leading Voidborn ships into Alliance weapon range. Defiance, this is Admiral Carter. 3 enemy ships are retreating toward the jump point. Can you intercept? On our way, Jack replied, adjusting course. The Defiance raced after the fleeing Voidborn ships. As Jack approached, 1 enemy vessel turned to fight. Dark energy pulses shot toward the human ship. Evasive maneuvers, Lena cried. Jack didn't respond. His hands moved over the controls with calm precision. The Defiance slid sideways, the enemy attack missing by meters. Then Jack did something unexpected. Instead of pulling away, he drove the ship directly toward the attacking Voidborn vessel. "Jack, what are you doing?" Lena gasped. "Trust me," Jack said quietly. The Defiance accelerated toward the enemy ship. At the last possible moment, Jack activated a feature he had built into the ship's hull. The curved surfaces of the Defiance created a disruption in the space current, a controlled version of what the Alliance gravity generators had done on a larger scale. The Voidborn ship's navigation system failed as it hit the disruption. It tumbled out of control, directly into the path of Alliance weapons fire. The enemy vessel exploded in a flash of dark energy. The remaining Voidborn ships altered course, moving away from the battle at high speed. Within minutes, they had disappeared from sensor range. "They're retreating," Lena said, hardly believing it. "We won." Jack leaned back in his seat, exhaustion washing over him. "We showed them something they didn't expect, something they couldn't predict." As the Defiance returned to the Alliance fleet, messages flooded the communication system. Alliance captains offered congratulations. Academy students who had mocked Jack's designs now sent messages of amazement. Even Grand Designer Zoltek requested a meeting to discuss innovative approaches to ship design. Admiral Carter's voice came through clearly. "Defiance, this is Alliance Command. Well done, son. It seems we all have something to learn from Earth's approach to shipbuilding." Jack looked at Lena, who was smiling with tears in her eyes. "Not bad for a human with primitive ideas," she said. Jack rested his hand on the Defiance's control panel. The ship that no one believed in had just saved the Academy, possibly the entire Alliance. Not with perfect technology or mathematical precision, but with the one thing humans had always relied on when facing the impossible: adaptation.